Hello everybody, welcome to Programming with C++. Today let us start off with the next control statement, which is iterative statement. Previously we studied about selection statement. Selection statement was one in which you choose a certain statement depending on a condition, whereas iterative statement is one where a certain statement or set of statements are repeated or executed again and again. It is a program construct that causes a statement to be executed again and again. And the process of repeating the execution of a certain set of statement again and again is termed as looping. The process is called as looping, and the other terms for it is either iterative or repetition. There are three types of looping statements. They are while, do while, and for. While and do while are called as indefinite control structure. Because the number of iteration will not be knowing pre-and. It varies. It depends on the condition what is used. And the for loop is called as definite control structure because in the for loop we'll be knowing how many number of times we're going to run that loop. Pre-and we'll tell in the condition section we'll be telling it should run for these many times. So you'll get to know how many number of times that code is going to get repeated and executed again. Whereas in while or do while it can repeat or it may not. And the number of iterations are known well in advance in for loop. Let us study one by one. First is while loop. It is called as pre-tested looping statement because first you test for a condition, and if the condition is true, you enter the loop. If not, the while statement itself is skipped and it starts repeating the other statement. It repeats a block again and again until the condition is true. As I said, it will first check for the condition. If the condition is true, it repeats. And again, after finishing that, it will go back to the condition and check. How long will it repeat executing the same set of code until the condition is true? Once the condition becomes false, it comes outside the loop. Yeah, the format for while loop is while followed by test condition. Test condition is the condition which we'll be checking. And then we enter the loop. That is represented by flower braces, and this is the body of the loop. It can be anything. Either you can have one statement or you can have n number of statements. And one thing to remember in C++, an important thing is semicolon. For each and every line we use semicolon to distinguish it from the other line, whereas for a while test condition you don't use a semicolon. Once you use a semicolon for that, it will terminate at that point of time and it will never enter the loop even if the condition is correct. Once it exits from the loop, it will start repeating from the next statement. Start executing from the next statement. Let us see the flowchart of this while condition. First, you enter the test condition. That is, you check for the test condition first. This is test condition. Once it is true, you enter the body of the loop first time. And after that, you go back to the thing. You go back to the test condition. So it's like again you check for the test condition, and if it is true, you'll again follow this path. It will follow n number of times, but we'll not know how many number of times it is followed. Once the test condition is false, it comes outside the loop, and then the next statement gets executed. Hence, until the test condition is true, you remain within the code. Let us see an example segment of a program that is printing 5 natural numbers. Initially we have I equals to 5, and then we have the loop condition until I less than or equal to 5 because we want to print 5 elements, and within the loop we print the element and we increment it. So the main important steps here is first was initialization here, condition followed by increment. Output of this program will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It comes in next line because we use the endl character. Let us trace this code. Tracing is nothing but seeing what happens in the code. We just take the code and give example and start working out with it. So we said it's first 5 natural numbers, right? Initialization I equals to 1 is there, hence I equals to 1, and then once you enter the while loop, you check for the condition. That was while 1 less than or equal to 5. Is 1 less than or equal to 5? Yes, it's true. Then you enter the code. Inside the code, you print cout I. Hence I value is 1 right now, so you print it. And after that you initialize I equals to I plus plus. Right now I was 1, hence I becomes 2. And then right now next point of time I is 2. It was 1 first, now it's become 2. At this point of time you again enter the while loop while I less than or equal to 5. You check while 2 less than or equal to 5, it is true. You print 2 and again you increment. Like the same thing we are repeating here. And then while 3 less than or equal to 5, yes, you print 3 and you increment it to 4. 4 less than or equal to 5, yes, it's true. Similarly, you do that. Once it becomes I equals to 5, once you print 5 and increment it, I becomes 6. When I is 6, you check for the condition. Is 6 less than or equal to 5? It is not, it is false. Hence it comes outside the loop. This is called as tracing. You can take any example for a program code and start tracing out. The next type of statement is do-while statement in the iteration. Do-while is called as post-tested looping statement. While was pre-tested, that is first you test for the condition and you enter the loop. Whereas do-while, either the condition is true or not, you enter into the body of the loop and then check the condition. Hence it is that even if the condition is false also, body of the loop is executed at least once. It enters the loop at least once. And the format is do followed by braces within which the body of the loop is there, and then while test condition is after this. And one important thing here is here you use a semicolon, because this is do while, here it is a must, you should use a semicolon. And here first let us see the flowchart. First you enter the body of the loop. Once you have entered, you check for the test condition. If it is true, you follow it again you enter and then check for the test condition. So this keeps repeating until the test condition becomes false and you come out of the loop. Let us take the same example of printing 5 natural number. Here you have I equals to 1 initialization. You enter the loop. First time you just print it without checking any condition, and then here you have while I less than 6. Why is that? Previously it was while I less than or equal to 5, but here we have made it as I less than 6, because every point of time you check the condition after completing it. So once I becomes 6 only, you can come out. Let us trace it and see. Initially I is 1 and then you print it, that is the statement, and then you have to increment it, so I became 2, and then you check for the condition while 2 less than 6. It is true. So this entire part is the first thing of the loop, first time you enter the loop. Next, after entering the loop second time, you print 2 directly, no initialization, nothing. Then you increment it and then check for the condition. Is 3 less than or equal to 6? Yes, it is true. And then you print 3 in the third iteration. You print 3 and then you increment I to 4 and check a 4 less than 6. Yes, it's true. And then it goes on up to you print 5. After printing 5, I becomes 6, because this point, right? After printing a number, it will increment. So when I was 5, you print it and then you increment it to 6. Once it became 6, you come out and check if 6 less than 6. It is not. Hence, it is false and you come outside the loop. Now you would get to know why the condition changed from I less than or equal to 5 to I less than 6, because do while will enter the body of the loop even when the condition is false. At least once, and then only you'll check for the condition. So even if the condition is false, at least once you enter the loop. Next is the for statement. For is called as fixed execution looping structure, and it is used when number of iterations is you know it well pre-and that how many number of times you'll be executing it, and it executes a statement specified number of time, and it keeps track of the passes. Like we usually use an element called I, which is called as the looping element, and that keeps track of the number of times we are entering the loop and all that. The format is for followed by expression 1, expression 2, expression 3, separated by semicolon. That is very important. And then comes the body of the loop. What is this expressions? 3 expressions. First expression is called as initialize expression, and the second expression 2, is called as condition, and expression 3 is increment or decrement. So usually in the for and do while, we have the initialization separate, condition separate, and either increment or decrement was within the loop. But here we tried all the three in the first thing. Hence it is known as fixed execution looping structure, because you get to know how many number of times you will be executing it. Let us see the uh, flowchart of it. First is initialization or the expression 1. Once you check that, you check for the condition. Here the condition is expression 2. Hence you check is expression 2. Once the expression 2 is true, you enter the body, and after entering the body, you do the initialization, or that is increment or decrement. First you have initialization and you enter the body, and then this process keeps repeating. You come out only when the condition is false. So initialization happens only once, whereas the condition and the increment or decrement happens n number of times. Let us take the same example of printing 5 natural numbers. So all the three should come in the same line. Initialization is natural number, right? So I equals to 1 you start, and then the condition is I less than or equal to 5 because you want to print up to 5, and then increment. You don't decrement it, you just increment it. Let us trace the code. First, initially I is equal to 1 and is 1 less than or equal to 5. Yes, it's true. You print 1. Then I becomes 2, is 2 less than or equal to 5. Yes, you print 2. Similarly, this goes on up to I becomes 5. When I is 5, after printing, you increment it to 6. At this point of time, you check if 6 is less than or equal to 5. Is it true? No. So at this point of time, you come outside the loop. Another thing important is, it's not necessary all the three conditions, that is initialization, condition and increment, should be present. If it is not present, you can just leave it empty with just putting a semicolon. The main important thing is you should have semicolon between them. And if you're having many initialization together, you can have a comma, like expression 1 comma expression 2, both are for the condition, like that you can have. For condition, if you're having two things, you can do that. You can use two loop variables at the same time also. Another thing is, do not use a semicolon after the for loop. As said, once you use a semicolon after this for loop here, what will happen is you will terminate from the for loop. Like here we didn't use it, right? If we would have used, what will happen is, first I will be initialized, and after that you check for the condition, but you cannot print it because this becomes a next statement where this will be printed only once, and you won't repeat the loop. You repeat the loop only by checking the condition n number of times. Okay, thank you.